Hari Ju ki jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Moran Mohan Ju ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashutarashata Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Gurudeva ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashutarashata Shimad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Mahārāja, Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashutarashata Shimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mahārāja Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashata Shishmar Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashata Shishmar Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashutarashata Shishmar Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Nityal Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gaurkishora Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupa Nagugariya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopala Padadasha Gunashara Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki jai. नाम जय श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय. सर्व अविश्व विरक्ति गिरिराज महाराज की जय. श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय. श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय. श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय. श्री भक्ति देवी की जय. श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जय. श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय. श्री गदाधर पंडित की जय. तदीय शुभ आविर्भाव तिथि की जय. श्री what is it? God, what is his father's and mother's name? I think his father's name is Madhav Mishra, and his mother is Naba Devi. I can't remember. Anyways, Gadādhara parents ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Shri Gaur Gadādhar ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Dandavat pranams Rohit Radhakrishnan ji and Madhavi Didi, Kishore Prabhu and Raseshwari Mataji, and also Indira Mataji if she's watching, if she'll watch later on. Dandavat pranams to all of you. So I am going to read from this wonderful book. Let me show you. This book here, Sri Caitanya and his associates by Srila Bhakti Ballabha Tīrtha Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Wonderful book. You can get it on Amazon. They just made a Kindle version for it if you'd like to get it. In India, it's really cheap now also. Yeah, so we're going to read from that book, and then afterwards, maybe I can read something from PureBhakti.com for my Gurudev. And also we have the Gadādharāṣṭakam, which I'd like to sing. We just made a new translation for it yesterday, and I sent it out on the Gaudiya Kirtan list. Anyways, we can sing that together. So that's the program for today, and then tomorrow we'll continue on with Srimad Bhagavatam. So I'll share my screen, and we can begin now. Let's find it. Okay, Sri Caitanya and his associates. Okay, let's find Gadādhara Pandit. It should be the front, right? No. The Ghosh brothers. There's Gadādhara Das, or is Gadādhara Pandit? Did I skip Gadādhara Pandit? I thought Gadādhara Pandit would be like, oh God, let me try again. Oh, there. Śrīla Gadādhara Pandit Gosvāmī. Hare Krishna Raj Bhuvan Yadav ji. Okay. Shri Radha Prema Rupa Śrī Radha Premarupaya Pura Vrindavaneshwari Sa Śrī Gadādharo Gora Ballabha Paṇḍitākhyaka Nirnita Shri Swaruparyo Vraja Lakshmi Taya Yatha Pura Vrindavane Lakshmi Shama Sundara Vallabha Sadhya Gora Prema Lakshmi Śrī Gadādhara Paṇḍita Radham Anugata Yattal Lalitapyanuradhika Ata Pravishadeshatam Gora Chandro Daye Yata. Okay. So those verses were from Śrī Gadādharāṣṭakam 147 to 150. So let's read the translation. The avatar of love, who was previously the queen of Vrindavan, Śrī Radha, is now the beloved of Gaur, named Śrī Gadādhara Pandit. Swarup Damodar Gosvāmī himself indicated that Gadādhara was Vraja's goddess of fortune, the Lakshmi, who was previously the beloved of Shyamasundar and Vrindavan. She today has become the goddess of fortune and love for Gaur, as known as Śrī Gadādhara Pandit. Lalita, who is also known as Anuradha, is Radha's closest friend and confidant. She has also entered into Gadādhara, as was shown in the play Caitanya Chandrodaya. Wow, interesting. I've never heard that before. Lalita, his Radharani's closest friend, has also entered into Gadādhara Pandit. So interesting, because Gadādhara Pandit is, in Mahaprabhu's Leela, his mood is more like Rukmini Devi, right? Like more passive, so that it doesn't interfere with Mahaprabhu's mood. Okay, so let's read. Gadādhara Tattva. And passive is like the total opposite of Lalita Devi. Okay, let's see. Okay. Gadādhara Tattva. Gadādhara Panditadi Prabhur Nija Shakti Tansabara Charane Mor Sahasra Pranati. Gadādhara Pandit and others are the Lord's own energies. I pay thousands of obeisances to their feet. That's from Caitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, 1st chapter, verse 41. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appears in 6 features, namely as the 2 types of Guru, the devotees of the Lord himself, his avatar, his expansion, and his energy. According to the principle of simultaneous oneness and difference, they are all identified with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. That's from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada's Anubhashya to Chaitanya Charitamrita, very beginning of the book, verses 37 to 45. According to the principle of simultaneous oneness and difference, they are all identified with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. She who is Radha and Krishna's pastimes became Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Gosvāmī in Gaur Leela. When Gaur manifests his identity with Narayan, his Shaktis are his wives Lakshmi Priya and Vishnu Priya. When identifying with Krishna, his Shakti is Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Gosvāmī. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. I offer my obeisances to Krishna, who appears in 5 features: as a devotee, as the expansion of a devotee, as an avatar of a devotee, as the pure devotee, and as the devotional energy. These 5 features all appeared with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his avatar, and in their association, he joyfully performs the congregational chanting of the holy names. Though he appears in these 5 forms, there is in fact no difference between them. The distinctions arise due to his desire to relish different devotional flavors. Shri Gauranga, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Gadādhara Pandit, and Shivas Pandit, etc., make up the Panchatattva, and there is spiritually no difference between them. The Supreme Truth has unlimited pastimes in order to relish the different tastes of transcendental relationship, and thus he separates into these 5 forms as the form of a devotee, the devotional manifestation, the devotional avatar, the devotional energy, and the pure devotee. Jaya Jaya Nityananda Gadādhara Jivan Jaya Jaya Advaitadi Bhaktir Sharan. All glories to the life of Nityananda Gadādhara. All glories to the shelter of all the devotees headed by Advaita. Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Thakur comments on the words, the life of Gadādhara, as follows. Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Goswami is chief among the most intimate devotees of Śrī Caitanya. He is the fountainhead of the entire Shakti Tattva and is thus present equally in Mahaprabhu's Leelas in Navadip and in Nilachal. His childhood home was in Navadip. Later, he took Kshetra Sannyas in Jagannath Puri and lived in a garden, or tota, by the seashore. Pure devotees who wish to enter into the Madhur Ras of Shri Radha Govinda take shelter of Gadādhara Pandit, and only then they will come to be known as Gauranga Mahaprabhu's intimate devotees. Those devotees who are not so inclined to the Madhur Ras take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu and engage in pure devotional service. Some of Mahaprabhu's devotees, such as Narahari, were followers of Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Goswami. One second, I just want to, because Srivas and I were talking about this yesterday, so I just want to share this with him. I mean, he was mentioning this. Oh. There. Why is it not? It keeps on doing that. Anyways, whatever. I'll find it later. Or was I? Okay. Those devotees who are not so inclined to the Madhur Ras take shelter of Nityananda Prabhu, engage in pure devotional service. Some of Mahaprabhu's devotees, such as Narahari, were followers of Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Goswami. They took refuge in him because they knew him to be Mahaprabhu's dearest associate. Some devotees, therefore, called Caitanya the life of Nityananda Prabhu, while others called him the life of Gadādhara. Gadādhara Pandit's early life. Gadādhara Pandit appeared in the village of Belitigram in the Chittagong district of modern Bangladesh in 1408 of the Shaka era, 1487 AD, on the dark moon day of the month of Vaishak. His father was Madhav Mishra, a Varendra Brahmin in the Kashyapa Gotra, and his mother was Ratnavati Devi. Okay, Ratnavati, I have to remember that. Yeah, Navadevi, what I mentioned before, that's Advaita Acharya's mother. So it's Ratnavati Devi. He also had a younger brother named Vaninath. The family lived in Belitigram until Gadādhara was 12 and then moved to Navadip. Interesting. Gadādhara Pandit was a brahmachari for his entire life. Indeed, his indifference to the pleasures of the world was such that Ishvara Puripad was very impressed when he visited Navadvip. Ishvara Puri gave Gadādhara Pandit instruction in a book he had himself written, Krishna Lilamrita. While Mahaprabhu was delighting in his pastimes as a student, there was no scholar in the town of Navadvip who was unafraid of entering into debate with him. Mahaprabhu would defeat one's position and then show how the same position could be defended. Mukunda Datta, Srivas Pandit, and others knew the joys of the devotional sentiment. Mukunda Datta, Srivas Pandit, and others who knew the joys of devotional sentiment were afraid of getting involved in such useless debates with Nimai Pandit, and so they would avoid him. One day, Nimai Pandit saw Gadādhara Pandit and asked him to give a death of liberation. Gadādhara Pandit answered according to the Nyaya school that liberation consisted in the final eradication of all miseries, atyantika dukkha nivritti. Nimai Pandit then proceeded to show how this definition was inadequate. The other devotees who were listening to him speak thought how wonderful it would be if such a brilliant scholar would only become a devotee. When Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya, he began to reveal the transformations of divine love that amazed the devotees. Sriman Pandit was the first to see Mahaprabhu's ecstatic symptoms, and he reported what he had seen to all the other devotees, who were overjoyed at the news. When Mahaprabhu decided to reveal his true identity to the devotees, he told them to come. Gadādhara Pandit was amongst those who remained discreet about his presence. When he saw Mahaprabhu become intoxicated with the power of the holy names, Gadādhara Pandit fainted. Mahaprabhu then said to him, "Gadādhara, you have such good fortune. From your early childhood, your mind has been fixed on Krishna's lotus feet. Meanwhile, I had been wasting my time in useless activities. Despite obtaining the great treasure of a human birth, by my misfortune, I was unable to make no use of it." That's from Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda, chapter 1, verses 98 to 99. Subsequently, Gadādhara Pandit would call Mahaprabhu whenever he was overly affected by his ecstasies. One day, Gadādhara Pandit said to Mahaprabhu, "Your Lord Krishna is hidden in your heart." As soon as he heard this, Mahaprabhu began to claw at his chest, but Gadādhara Pandit stopped him from doing so. When Shachi saw how clever Gadādhara Pandit was in handling her son, she asked him to always stay near Nimai to protect him. That's Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Kanda 2, verses 198 to 210. Gadādhara Pandit takes initiation from Pundarik. Just checking the comments. Cool, thanks Kishore for sharing that. Okay. Gadādhara Pandit takes initiation from Pundarik. Once, Mahaprabhu suddenly started calling out the name of his dear associate, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, saying, "Pundarik, my father," and crying. None of the devotees who were present knew Pundarik Vidyanidhi, who was formerly Radharani's father, Vrishabhanu, and were thus unable to understand what the Lord meant. When they asked him, he glorified Pundarik Vidyanidhi and told them that he would shortly be coming to Navadvip, Mayapur. However, when Pundarik Vidyanidhi arrived in Navadvip, no one recognized him because he disguised himself as a great sense enjoyer in order to mask his profound devotional feeling. Mukunda Datta and Vasudev Datta were former residents of Chittagong and knew Pundarik Vidyanidhi very well. One day, Mukunda Datta told Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Gosvāmī that he wanted to introduce him to a very advanced Vaishnav, and so he took him to Pundarik Vidyanidhi's house. Mukunda introduced the two of them, and Vidyanidhi happily engaged Gadādhara Pandit in conversation. Gadādhara Pandit, however, who had been indifferent to sensual pleasures since he was very young, could not help doubting Pundarik Vidyanidhi when he saw the expensive furnishings by which he was surrounded, from the fine silk sheets as white as milk foam to the perfumes in the air, to the pan, the betel he was chewing, and all these things. Mukunda saw the doubt written on Gadādhara Pandit's face and decided to reveal Pundarik Vidyanidhi's true devotional nature to him. He recited the following two verses in glorification of Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam. Aho bhakyam stanakala kutam angsayapaya yadapyasadvi lebhe gatim datruchitam tatonyam kang vadayalum sharanam prajema. How truly amazing! The sister of Bakasura, the evil Putana, was sent on a mission to kill Krishna. Despite her evil intentions, he drank the Kalakuta poison that was mixed with her breast milk and awarded her the position of a wet nurse as Ambika and Kalimba in Goloka. Is there anyone else I can take shelter of who is more merciful than this Krishna? That's from Srimad Bhagavatam 3:2-23. Putana lokapala ghni rakshasi rudirashana jigang sayapi haraye stanam datva pasargatim. Putana was always hankering for the blood of human children, and with that desire, she came to kill Krishna. But because she offered her breast to the Lord, she attains the greatest achievement. That's Srimad Bhagavatam 10:6-35. The instant that Pundarik Vidyanidhi heard these verses, he began to cry, "Ha Krishna!" and fell down to the ground in a faint. Extraordinary ecstatic symptoms began to show on his body. Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Gosvāmī was amazed to see this reaction and began to regret the offensive thoughts he had been having just moments before. Later, Mahaprabhu advised Gadādhara Pandit that the best way to become free of his offense was to ask Pundarik Vidyanidhi for initiation. So this is how Gadādhara Pandit became his disciple. The Lord's constant companion. Hari Bol Champak Didi. Oh, that's a nice verse, Kishore. Whoever receives the merciful glance of Gadādhara can know Nityananda Swarup, and whoever sees Nityananda is and whoever Nityananda is pleased with can know Śrī Gadādhara. Oh, maybe we can read that chapter from Antya 7. That's when the three Prabhus, like Gadādhara Pandit, all took. They all took. Oh, whoops! My internet's back. Yeah, when they all ate together at Toto Gopinath. I love that story. Maybe we can. Yeah. Let's see if there's enough time. Then we can read from that section. The Lord's constant companion. Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Gosvāmī was Mahaprabhu's constant companion. He participated in Mahaprabhu's water sports after the conversion of Jagai and Madhai. He acted in the play about Krishna Lila in Chandrasekhar's house. He observes the great epiphany that Mahaprakash and Shivas Angan. He was there when the Kazi was converted and when Mahaprabhu took sannyas. He accompanied Mahaprabhu to Puri, where he joined him in the cleaning of the Gundicha temple and then bathing in Narendra Sarovar, and in so many other pastimes. At Chandrasekhar Acharya's house, in the first act of the play about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan that Mahaprabhu staged, Haridas Thakur played the part of the village constable. Shivas Pandit played Narad Muni, and Mahaprabhu played Rukmini. In the second act, Gadādhara Pandit also dressed as a woman, at which time Mahaprabhu said, "Gadādhara Pandit is a part of my Vaikuntha family." Afterward, Mahaprabhu dressed as the primal energy and gave joy to everyone in the form of the Mother of the universe. The devotees too glorified him with hymns addressed to the Divine Mother. Gadādhara Pandit takes Kshetra sannyas. Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Gosvāmī wants to live in Puri as a Kshetra sannyasi. Mahaprabhu gave him the service of the Tota Gopinath deity and told him to live in the Yameshwar Tota, or the garden adjoining the Yameshwar Shiva temple. On one occasion, when Gadādhara Pandit heard that Nityananda Prabhu had come to Puri, he invited him to come and take Tota Gopinath's prasad. Nityananda Prabhu accepted his invitation and brought some fine rice from Bengal as an offering for Gopinath. Gadādhara Pandit cooked the rice along with leaves and vegetables from the Yameshwar garden. When he was offering the foodstuffs to the deity, Mahaprabhu also appeared there, giving him great pleasure. The three of them joyfully took prasad together. That's from Caitanya Bhagavat Antya 10. When Mahaprabhu wanted to go to Vrindavan, Ramananda Rai and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya used all the means at their disposal to make him stay in Puri. On the third Chaturmasya, after his departure from Navadvip, all the Bengali devotees came to Puri with their wives to see him. After the Gundicha temple cleansing and the Rath Yatra, the devotees returned home. As they were leaving, the devotees from Kulina village asked Mahaprabhu to describe the characteristics of a devotee. Mahaprabhu then described the differences between a Vaishnav, a more advanced Vaishnav, and the most advanced Vaishnav. That's from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 1669-75. When Mahaprabhu showed even more determination to go to Vrindavan, the devotees finally gave him permission to leave after Vijay Dashami. King Prataparudra gave a great deal of official help to smooth his journey. When Mahaprabhu crossed the Chitrotpal river to leave Puri, Rai Ramananda, Mangalaraj, and Hari Chandan continued on in his company. Because of his Kshetra sannyas, Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Gosvāmī was not permitted to go any farther. He was unable to tolerate the idea of separation from the Lord, however, and wanted to continue on with him. Mahaprabhu had to remind him of how his vow to remain in Jagannath Puri. Mahaprabhu had to remind him of his vow to remain in Jagannath Puri and forbade him to go onward to Vraj. Gadādhara Pandit retorted, "To hell with my vows to remain in Puri. As far as I am concerned, Jagannath Puri is wherever you are." Mahaprabhu insisted and told Gadādhara Pandit not to abandon his service to Gopinath. Gadādhara Pandit stubbornly argued, "Just seeing your lotus feet is worth 1,000,000 times more than any service to Gopinath." When Mahaprabhu said, "If you abandon your duties to Gopinath, then it will be considered my fault," then Gadādhara said, "No, I will take all the responsibility for any offense for abandoning the service to Gopinath for breaking the vow of Kshetra Sannyas. I will be going alone without disturbing you. I am going to Bengal to see Shachi Mata." Other than Mahaprabhu's intimate associates, no one will be able to understand the extent of Gadādhara Pandit's devotion to Gauranga. Love on the path of spontaneous devotion is not easy to comprehend. Gadādhara Pandit was ready to abandon his vows, his service, and everything for the sake of Mahaprabhu. When Mahaprabhu's party arrived at Cuttack, 100 kilometers north of Puri, Mahaprabhu called Gadādhara Pandit and said, "You have realized your objective to break your vows and leave your service. If you come with me, that will make you happy. But do you want your own happiness or mine? It will make me unhappy if your vows to remain in Puri and to serve Gopinath are broken. If you want my happiness, return to Puri. That is all I have to say." When he heard Mahaprabhu's words, Gadādhara Pandit fell to the ground and fainted. By the order of Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya comforted Gadādhara Pandit and accompanied him back to Puri. Gadai Gauranga. Due to her submissiveness and simplicity, Krishna's wife Rukmini was not always able to understand his joking words and would become frightened. Like her, Gadādhara Pandit was also unable to always understand Mahaprabhu's witticisms or his feigned indifference, all of which would cause him anxiety. Śrī Gadādhara Pandit was by nature simple and pleasant. On one occasion, when Ballabha came to see Mahaprabhu, he saw that Ballabha was proud of his scholarship and ridiculed him. Mahaprabhu pointed out flaws in his philosophical understanding and ignored him. It's saying that Mahaprabhu saw that Ballabha was proud of his scholarship and ridiculed him, right? It's not talking about Gadādhara Pandit. Yeah, I think so. Yes, of course. Then Mahaprabhu pointed out flaws in his philosophical understanding and ignored him. Ballabha responded to Mahaprabhu's indifference by starting to visit Gadādhara Pandit and making a show of attachment to him. Mahaprabhu did not particularly like Gadādhara Pandit's relation with Ballabha and began to demonstrate a certain coolness toward him also. This behavior made Gadādhara Pandit fear that Mahaprabhu would ostracize him, and so he came and fell at the Lord's feet and started to cry. Mahaprabhu laughed and embraced Gadādhara Pandit. He said, "I wanted to tease you, but you were not flustered. You said nothing in anger, but patiently bore everything. Your mind was not agitated by my tricks. By remaining fixed in your simple nature, you have purchased me." No one can fully describe the nature of Gadādhara Pandit's ecstatic love. Mahaprabhu has thus been given the name Gadādhara Prananath, Gadādhara's life and soul. No one can describe the Lord's mercy toward Gadādhara Pandit. Thus people sing their names together. Gadai Gauranga. That's Śrī Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila 7, 157 to 160. Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Gosvāmī remained on this earth only 11 months after Mahaprabhu's disappearance. In Bhakti Ratnakar, Narahari Chakravarti has described the terrible suffering of Gadādhara Pandit in Mahaprabhu's separation. He remained alive, only able to see Srinivasacharya. Okay, here's an excerpt. As he repeated the name of Gaurasundar with his eyes closed, his sighs were as hot as flames. No one but the Lord can know how Gadādhara Pandit suffered in his absence. His motionless body remained alive only so that he could bestow his mercy on Srinivasacharya. It's Bhakti Ratnakar 3, 142 to 144. Śrī Gadādhara Pandit Gosvāmī disappeared at Puri on the dark moon day of Jyeshta in 1456 of the Shaka era, which is 1535 AD. All right, so now we can read from PureBhakti.com. Looks like I've been having connection issues, huh? Hare Krishna Gopikant Prabhu. So let's go to, what is it? PureBhakti.com. Okay, I'm going to read this one. Śrī Gadādhara Pandit in Toto Gopinath. This is from a class that my Gurudev gave at Toto Gopinath Temple in Jagannath Puri, September 1993. When Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lived in the cave at Gambhira, he was always thinking of Krishna and weeping. He came to this world to taste Radha Bhav, and his activities while in Gambhira comprises a drop of the ocean he experienced. While living in Gambhira, he gave the deity of Gopinath to Śrīla Gurudeva Pandit and told him, "Today I will give you a very good thing. Will you accept it?" Śrīla Gadādhara Pandit replied, "Yes, why not? I will keep it on my head." In the mood of Radhika, Mahaprabhu began to search here and there in the sand. All of a sudden, he touched the mukut, the crown of Gopinath, and told the others, "Take out the sand." He then placed Gopinath in the lap of Gadādhara Pandit and said, "You should never leave him." Śrīla Gadādhara Pandit built a hut there, and Mahaprabhu used to come daily to take darshan of Gopinath. Whenever he went to Jagannath Mandir, Bhadra and Balladev, he did not experience very much pleasure. Rather, in front of Balladev and his sister Subhadra, he felt very shy and thought, "I have come to Kurukshetra." He was in the mood of Srimati Radhika at Kurukshetra, where, in great separation, she tried to bring Krishna, Jagannath, to Vrindavan. In the mood of Srimati Radhika, Mahaprabhu did not like to see Krishna in Kurukshetra because all his associates, along with all his queens of Dwarka, were there, and so many horses and elephants were there. There was no chance for Radhika to be with him in private, and this is why Mahaprabhu always felt intense separation in Puri. In this way, being in Gambhira was like being in Vrindavan and feeling separation for Krishna. Being in Gambhira was like being in Vrindavan and feeling separation for Krishna in Dwarka. The mood of separation was always present in Mahaprabhu and Puri. When Radhika went to Kurukshetra, she did not take rest with Krishna. Rather, she was given a separate accommodation in a tent, and Krishna lived with the Yadavas and his queens. When he went to his own accommodation, she felt great separation. In Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sometimes saw the sea as Yamuna and jumped in it, but there he wept still more. Because Krishna would, he wept still more because Krishna would disappear. Sometimes he became like a tortoise, his limbs drawn into his body, and sometimes the joints of his hands and legs would become separated by 8 inches, remaining connected only by skin. At that time, he sometimes appeared like a ghost. When the devotees would see him in that condition, they would all become fearful and weep for him. All this was due to separation from Krishna, and therefore, to get some relief, Mahaprabhu would come to Gopinath. Seeing Gopinath, he felt, "Oh, I have come to Vrindavan. My prananath, the life of my soul is here." In this way, his tears of separation would subside. On one side of Gopinath, we see Srimati Radhika, and on the other side, Lalita, and both are black like Krishna. Being in the mood of Radhika, when Mahaprabhu used to see Gopinath, he, in the mood of Radharani, would become one in mood with Krishna and became black. Radha becomes black by seeing her prananath and becoming absorbed in him. She sometimes takes the flute of Krishna and begins to play it, and in this way also she becomes black. This is the mood of total Gopinath with Radhika and Lalita. Then in the mood of Srimata, Krishna becomes Mahaprabhu, and Lalita becomes Sri Sarup Damodar. You can see that Gopinath is sometimes standing and sometimes sitting. Although you do not see any other Vigraha sitting, Gopinath sits. Some say that when Śrīla Gadādhara Pandit became old, he could no longer offer garlands to Gopinath, and therefore Gopinath sat down. But this is not actually true. Mahaprabhu disappeared at the age of 48, and Gadādhara Pandit was only 1 year younger. He left this world a year after Mahaprabhu disappeared, and thus there was no chance for him to become old. When Mahaprabhu disappeared, following the order of Mahaprabhu, he did not leave the worship of Gopinath. Always feeling separation, he quickly became lean and thin, and could not even stand to give a garland to Gopinath. Seeing Gadādhara Pandit in such a state, Gopinath sat down for him, and Gadādhara Pandit continued to offer garlands along with his tears. There is a bhakta of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu named Mamu Thakur, who used to render various services to him. Soon after Mahaprabhu disappeared, Śrīla Gadādhara Pandit also disappeared, and at that time his disciple Mamu Thakur was appointed by the government of Puri to serve Gopinath. He was old, about 84 years, and could not properly offer garlands to Gopinath. Some say that perhaps because Mamu Thakur could not give garlands to Gopinath in his old age, Gopinath sat down for him. Actually, however, Gopinath sat only for Srimati Radhika. It is a common thing for Srimati Radhika that Krishna stands up and sits down for her. Question. Some people say these deities are Lalita and Radhika, and some say they are Lalita and Vishaka. Are both opinions correct according to their own moods? Śrīla Gurudeva. On Gopinath's left, Srimati Radhika, and on his right side is Srimati Lalita Devi. As Gadādhara Pandit, Srimati Radhika was always watching Krishna in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to see whether or not he was correctly playing her role. In this way, it is Srimati Radhika who is there with Toto Gopinath. Question. Before coming to Puri, Mahaprabhu knew Swarup Damodar in his early years in Navadvip. So were they school friends? Śrīla Gurudeva. That was a question, the previous one. Mahaprabhu knew Swarup Damodar in his early years in Navadvip. They were school friends? Śrīla Gurudeva. Both Swarup Damodar and Gadādhara Pandit and also Murari Pandit were there with him in Navadvip. They all grew up together. Jagadananda Pandit, Mukunda, and Vasu Ghosh were also his friends from childhood. Question. You have said that of the 4 dhams of Mahaprabhu, Navadvip is considered the best. I could not understand what you said. Śrīla Gurudeva. At first, he was in Navadvip from childhood up to Kishore Leela, reading and writing. When he was 24 years old, he left his home and came to Jagannath Puri, and there he gave mercy to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. After that, he went to South India, and there he met Rai Ramananda at Godavari. Rai Ramananda saw him in Mahabhav as Radha, and as Radhika, as Rasik Shekhar, Krishna. He saw Rasaraj Mahabhav Srimati Radhika and Krishna combined. Rasaraj Mahabhav, that's Srimati Radhika and Krishna combined, and he fainted. After that, Mahaprabhu returned to Puri and enjoyed the Vipralamba Bhav of Srimati Radhika. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his Kishore Leela in Navadip, and therefore Navadip is Vrindavan. Srila Narottam Das Thakur and others have explained that it is non-different from Vrindavan, but they have not said that Jagannath Kshetra is Vrindavan. Rather, it represents Dwarka or Kurukshetra. Those who follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and do bhajan in Navadip will come out in Vrindavan on the bank of the Yamuna at Vangshivat. This has been written and revealed by us, but they have never said that Jagannath Puri is Vrindavan. Shri Kshetra means Lakshmi Kshetra, where Satyabhama and Rukmini, or Mahalakshmi, reside. If a person leaves his body in Jagannath Puri, he becomes four-handed, but this is not so in Vrindavan and Navadip. There, one will become two-handed like the associates of Radha and Krishna. Therefore, Navadip is superior to Jagannath Puri. Question: and the fourth place? Śrīla Gurudeva. The four places are Navadip, Puri, Godavari, and Vrindavan and Navadip are the same, but they are seen as two. At the time of sadhan, Navadip is seen as Navadip, and in the Siddha stage, it is seen as Vrindavan. And the sadhan avastha, in the stage of performing sadhan, we will see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when we become Siddha, we will see, oh, Radha and Krishna have both become Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So both are one. On the other hand, in the intense separation of Divyon Mad, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to see Puri as Kurukshetra. As far as Godavari is concerned, it is Mahaprabhu's school. He learns from his Shiksha Guru Vishaka Devi in the school of Srila Rai Ramananda, and after that he returns to Puri. In Puri, he was always absorbed in Vrindavan. Question: I heard that this part of Puri, Gopinath, was called Gupta Vrindavan. Śrīla Gurudeva. Mahaprabhu used to see Gopinath here, and therefore he used to see his place as Vrindavan. But it is not Vrindavan, it is part of Dwarka and Kurukshetra. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to feel separation here throughout the entire day and night. Question: why did Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu not go to Vrindavan first? Śrīla Gurudeva. If he had done so, everybody would have known that he is Krishna. There he will always weep and become as mad. He would not be in Radha's mood, he would be in the mood of Krishna. When he would see the cows grazing, the calling peacocks, ke-ka, ke-ka, and the cuckoos calling out, kuhu, kuhu, he will leave that mood of Radhika. He will become Krishna and begin to run everywhere calling out for Radha. Oh Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. This is because every leaf, tree, creeper, and everything else in Vrindavan calls out Radhe, Radhe. He would not be able to remain in the Radha Bhav. Question: you've said that by Bhav, Jagannath Puri is higher than Navadip. I think you said that Navadip is first, then Puri, then South India in order of superiority. But by Bhav, Jagannath Puri is first, then South India, and then Navadip? Is that correct? Śrīla Gurudeva. No. I explained that here in Puri there is only lamentation in the mood of separation. I said that the acharyas are the associates of Srimati Radhika as Palyadasi. We went that Srimati Radhika is always cheerful, and she is cheerful when she is with Krishna. We are pleased when Krishna searches for Radhika, when Radhika is hidden in a kunj and Krishna, where is Radha? Where is Radha? Where is Radha, Lalita, Vishaka, and the others? The gopis are very pleased, thinking, oh, today he is searching. They are all in a good mood, and Radhika is also so joyful. And Radhika is so joyful, sorry. We should always be pleased in that way. Here in Puri, Radhika is always calling, "Oh Krishna, oh Krishna, oh Krishna." We don't want that. We select as the best place that place where Krishna will search, in a place like Radhakund. Krishna approaches Radhika and serves her feet, and at that time, Radhika is proud and enjoys so much. Here in Puri, there is no Raslila. Here is a separation mood, no meeting. Question. You said one time that this was the most important part of everything he showed. Śrīla Gurudeva. It is extremely important. For us, at our stage, the mood of separation is more helpful than meeting. But we want that Srimati Radhika should be always pleased. Here, she is always weeping and weeping. We don't want to see Radhika constantly weeping. Question. But it is Krishna who is weeping, isn't it? Śrīla Gurudeva. But Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Radhika. We consider Vrindavan the best place. It is the place where Radhika will place her feet on the lap of Krishna, and he will paint his name on them. Krishna will then keep her feet on his head and heart, and that fresh color will make a stamp-like print on his body. He is always serving her there. There, she says, "Oh, he loves me best." We want that. But for sadhan, separation is helpful. Without separation, we cannot advance an inch further. Is Jagannath Puri better for sadhan than Navadvip? Gurudev. Navadvip is better in all ways. Question. Does Tota Gopinath give some special benedictions? Yes. He can give his service. What is the meaning of Gopinath? Who is Gopinath? Question. The Lord of the Gopis, Master of the Gopis. Śrīla Gurudeva. No, it doesn't mean master. Nath means pran, one's life. Krishna is the Gopi's life. But this is not a name. What is his name? If anyone asks you, "Who are you?" you will generally state a relation between you and someone else. Similarly, there is a relation between Krishna and the Gopis, and this relation is very high. Therefore, if you go to Gopinath, he will give you the benediction that you can serve him as the Gopis serve. You will also be able to serve like them. You will realize that it is Gopinath who gives this benediction. You cannot realize this at present, but when the time comes, you will realize it. Alright, so there are so many other things here on PureBhakti, the Gadādhara Paṇḍita. There's four different things here on the glories of Gadādhara Paṇḍita. But I'm going to stop now. We can sing Gadādharāṣṭakam, but if you'd like to read on your own, you can read here also. Let me check the comments. Man, my connection's been very unstable, hasn't it? Okay, Rohit Radhakrishnan said it's been audible though. Wow, Kishore is sharing so many amazing quotes. Let's read them. Okay, so no one can describe the characteristics and ecstatic love of Gadādhara Paṇḍita. Therefore, another name for Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu is Gadādhara Prananath, the life and soul of Gadādhara Paṇḍita. No one can say how merciful the Lord is to Gadādhara Paṇḍita, but people know the Lord as Gadāyar Gauranga, the Lord Gauranga of Gadādhara Paṇḍita. Gadādhara Paṇḍita is celebrated all over the world for his gentle behavior, his Brahminical attributes, and his steady love for Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the vow of Gadādhara Paṇḍita. He would never see the face of one who offends Nityananda. Gadādhara Paṇḍita would avoid being seen by anyone who has no love for Nityananda Sarup. And then we already read this next one. Hari Bol Rup Manjari Didi. What's this one? Heno Prema Nidhi Gadai Janhara Tulanai Shaksha Jai Radha Thakurani. Tinho more koile kripa, Jani Guru Gora Seva, Nama Prema Dhane Habe Dhani. Gadaya is such an incomparable ocean of prem. He is Radha Thakurani herself. If you are merciful unto me, then I will realize the service of Shri Guru Gauranga. And I will be enriched by the wealth of the holy name, the love of the holy name. Thank you for sharing all that, Kishore. Now let's sing the Gadādharāṣṭakam. I sent it on the Gaudiya Kirtan mailing list, so let me just find it. Here it is, Gadādharāṣṭakam. Okay, I'm just getting my mridanga while this loads. I asked Srivas the other day to make a translation of this, and so he did it very quickly. It needs some work, and anyways, but I'll just read it and then we can sing. Reveling in his own bhakti yoga, he forever frolics throughout. Oh, this is written by Śrīla Swarup Damodar Gosvāmī. Reveling in his own bhakti yoga, he forever frolics throughout Vraj. He is foremost among the beloveds of Hari, and the lord of those dear to the son of Shachi. He is the illustrious Mahārāja who illuminates service to Krishna, who accompanied by Radha. That comma shouldn't be there. It's Krishna accompanied by Radha. Yeah. I worship Gadādhara, the beautiful scholar master. He is a master of the task of instilling another with the original moods of the ever-fresh Ujjvala Ras, the conjugal mellow, for he has himself reached its furthest limits, Paragata. He plays in the nectareous waves of the wondrous ocean of Gaur Bhakti. He reveals the beautiful path of spontaneous love, Rag Marg, and grants residence in Vraj and other such places like Navadvip. I worship Gadādhara, the beautiful scholar, guru, and master. He is venerated with gravest honor by the multitude of devotees who take the lotus feet of the son of Shachi to be the essence of their lives. His beloved is Krishna, who dwells in the lotus of Gaura's heart. He grants to Mukunda, who is now in the form of Gaura, the constitutional basis of his own moods. I worship Gadādhara, the beautiful scholar, guru, and master. He is the sole cause of illuminating the service carried out within the secret groves and the Nikunjas. He forever grants the mood of love possessed by the Sakis, Gopi Bhav. He is the embodiment of the great Ras, Mahāras. That's Madhur Ras. He is forever the genuine Guru who grants his lotus feet to those who take his shelter. I worship Gadādhara, the beautiful scholar, guru, and master. He is the darling bud of Mahaprabhu's Maharas manifestation. He forever longs for that bud of Maharas to manifest. He supplies the experience of bliss to Mahaprabhu as he relishes the moods of the gopis, of the Vraja gopis. I worship Gadādhara, the beautiful scholar, guru, and master. He is most capable of increasing bhakti for the lotus feet of Sri Hari, who is venerated by the best of Brahmanas. He is eager to reveal his form as Radhika among his intimate associates. He grants the nectar of Ujjvala Ras by teaching the endless bhakti scriptures. I worship Gadādhara, the beautiful scholar, guru, and master. Blissfully, he grants his dear associates the honey of his own lotus feet, along with Gaur Bhakti, which is an ocean of Maharas that emanates Amrita, the nectar of immortality. He is forever endowed with the 8 symptoms of divine ecstasy, and he grants bhakti to his worshipful Lord. I worship Gadādhara, the beautiful scholar, guru, and master. A person whose mind becomes flooded by the waves of his practices of spontaneous devotion, Rag Bhakti, quickly becomes a vessel for the moods of the Vraja gopis, even if that person is a male. The intoxicated bumblebee of such a person's heart becomes fully constituted of Ujjvala Ras. I worship Gadādhara, the beautiful scholar, guru, and master. This Gadādharāṣṭakam, which grants the nectar of Mahārāja, is a festival for the gopis in Vraj. One who constantly reads and recites this prayer with utmost devotion will, by serving the lotus feet of Śrī Gadādhara Pandit, earn the qualification to receive the priceless jewel that is Bhakti for the lotus feet of Śrī Sachinandana. Okay, so now we'll sing it. Just checking. Okay, and Gopikant Prabhu. Oh, that was from a song by Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. Wow, awesome. And Gopikant, oh, actually, let's first sing the Gadādharāṣṭakam and then I'll check out your comments. Because I just read the translation, so we shouldn't break. So, Śrī Gadādharāṣṭakam by Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami. Svabhakti yoga lasinam sada vraje viharinam Hari priya ganagragam Shachi sutta priyeshwaram Saradha Krishna sevana prakashakam Mahāshayam Bhajamyaham Gadādharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum Navojvaladi Bhavana Vidhana Karma Parakam Vichitra Gora Bhakti Sindhu Rasa Bangalasinam Suraga Marga Darshakam Vrajari Vasadayakam Bhajamyaham Gadādharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum Shachi Sutangri Sara Bhakta Vrindavandya Gauravam Gaurabhava Chitta Parma Madhya Krishna Suvallabham Mukunda Gaura Rupinam Svabhava Dharma Dayakam Bhajamyaham Gadādharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum Nikunja Sevanadika Prakashanaika Karanam Sada Sakirati Pradam Mahārasa Sarupakam Sada Shritangri Pankajam Shiriri Sarguru Varam Bhajamyaham Gadādharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum Mahaprabhur Mahārasa Prakashanam Kuram Priyam Sada Mahārasankura Prakashanadivasanam Mahaprabhur Vrajangana Mahaprabhur Vrajankanadi Bhavamodakarakam Bhajamyaham Gadādharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum Dvijendra Vrindavandhyapara Yugma Bhakti Vardhakam Nijeshurādhikātmata Vapu Prakashanagraham Ashesha Bhakti Shastra Shikshayo Jvalamrita Pradam Bhajamyaham Gadādharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum Muda Nija Priyadika Swapada Parma Sedubhir Mahārasarnavamrita Pradeshta Gora Bhaktidam Sadashta Sattvikanvitam Nijeshta Bhaktidayakam Bhajamyaham Gadādharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum Yadi Ritiragaranga-banga-digdamanaso Naropiyati turnameva Narya-bhava-bhajanam Tamujvalakta-chittametu chittamatta-shatpado Bhajamyaham Gadādharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum Mahārāja Pradam Sada Gadādharāṣṭakam Patetu Yasudito Brajanganaganotsava Shachitanuja Paraparva Bhakti Ratna Yogyatam Labhetaradhika Gadādharangri Parma Sevayam Bhajamyaham Gadādharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum Bhajamyaham Gadādharam Supanditam Gurum Prabhum Jaya Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu Gadādhara Pandit Gadādhara Pandit Prabhu Gadādhara Pandit Gadādhara Pandit Gadādhara Jai Gadādhara Pandit Gadādhara Jai Gaur Gadādhar Gaur Gadādhar Gaur Gadādhar Jai Gaur Gadādhar Jai Gaur Gadādhar Jai Gaur Gadādhar Gaur Gadādhar Jai Gaur Gadādhar. So also some nice songs to sing today are one is Jai Jai Gadādhar Paṇḍita Gosai. You'll find that in the Gaudiya Giti Gucha. It's same meter as Gauranga Balite Have. And then another really nice song to sing is Ha Ha Mor Gaura Kishore. That's a beautiful song about Gaur Gadādhar and how they manifest as Radha Madhav and Vrindavan. It's such a beautiful kirtan, one of my favorite kirtans actually. And Kishore just shared that from the Godrum Chandra Bhajan Upadesh, the last verse. Smara Gora Gadādhara Keli Kalam, Bhava Gora Gadādhara Paksha Chara, Shunu Gora Gadādhara Charu Katam, Bhaja Godrumakana Nakunja Vidum. Yeah, it's a beautiful verse. All right, so I'm going to do Jai Dvani, and then for those who have been joining me every day in singing Keshavashtakam, I'll do Keshavashtakam after I recite Jai Dvani. I'll do Jai Dvani so that anybody can leave if they don't want to stay for the Keshavashtakam. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nittil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shata Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja Śrīla Gurudeva Ki Jai Nittil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shata Shishimad Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai Nittil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatara Shata Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai Nittil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmad Śrīla Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja Ki Jai Nittil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtara Shata Shishmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada Ki Jai Nittil Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Śrīla Gaurkishora Babaji Mahārāja Ki Jai Nittil Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nittil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Das Babaji Mahārāja Ki Jai Shri Rupa Anugagariya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Shara Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Shada Vrinda Ki Jai Namachay Śrīla Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Raja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Bharata Giriraj Mahārāja Ki Jai Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund Ki Jai Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Vishwar Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gadādhara Pandit ki jai, Todiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki jai, Shri Madhav Mishra Ratnavati Devi ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Jai Shri Gaur Gadādhara ki jai. Alright, so now I'm gonna, oh, sorry. Vrindaya Tulsi Devaya Priyaya Keshavashcha Krishna Bhakti Pratidevi Satyavataya Namapatarubhyashcha Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams everybody. Oh, Hari Bo, Mani Manjari Didi. Hari Bo. Every day throughout this Keshav Vrat, I've been singing at the end of the program. I've been singing Keshavashtakam. So anybody who wants to join that, I'm going to sing that now, Keshavashtakam. Let's see. Okay. Oops, did I share my screen? I forgot to share my screen. Okay. Nava Priyaka, Shri Keshavashtakam by Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī. Nava Priyaka Manjari Rachita Karnapura Shriyam Vinedratara Malati Kalita Shekareno Jvalam Tarochvasita Yutika Kratita Valgovai Kakshaka Vraje Vijayanam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Vishangi Manikastani Pranata Shringi Pinge Kshane Mridanga Mukhi Dhumale Shavali Hamsi Vamshi Priye Iti Sasura Vikulam Taralamavayanta Muda Vraje Vijayanam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Kana Pranayame Dhuran Madhura Narma Goshti Kala Vilasa Nilayan Milay Vivida Vesha Vidyotina Sakena Kila Saraya Patishuha Sayantam Gira Vraje Vijayanam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Shamambukanika Vali Daravili Dagandantaram Samuragiri Dhatubir Likita Charupantram Puram Udancharali Mandali Duti Vidam Bivakralaka Vraje Vijayanam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Nibaddha Navatarnaka Vali Vilokanutkanthaya Nathat Kuraputan Chalar Alugubir Bhuvam Bindatim Kalena Davala Khatam Lagu Nirvartayantam Puro Avraje Vijayanam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Padankatati Birvaram Virachayantam Advashriyam Chalatarala Naichiki Nichaya Dhuli Dhumrasrajam Marulla Hari Chanchali Krita Dukula Churanchalam Vraje Vijayanam Bhaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Vilasa Murali Kala Dvani Birulasan Manasa Kshanara Kila Ballabha Pulakayantamantar Grihe Mohor Vidatatang Hridi Pramuditancha Goshteshwarim Praje Vijayinam Paje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Ityapati Sundari Tate Bira Bira Vyarchitam Smitam Kurakaram Pitar Natarapanga Bhangi Shatai Stanastavaka Sancharan Nayana Chanchari Kanchalam Vraje Vijayinam Vaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Idam Nikila Ballabha Kula Mahotsavollasanam Gramena Kilaya Puman Patati Shushtupadyashtakam Tamujvala Diyang Sada Nijapadara Vindatvaye Ratim Dada Chanchalam Sukayatar Vishakasakam Raje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Avraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipinadeshata Keshavam Ajaya Keshavadev 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 Jaya Keshavadev Jaya Keshavadev Jaya Keshavadev Keshavadev Jaya Keshavadev Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. All right, so I'm just, what is it? Gopi Kanta Prabhu had a question. What is it? So Gopi Kanta Prabhu said, I have read in one of Gurudev's classes that Gadādhara Pandit has been controlling and correcting Mahaprabhu's experience, the mood of Radharani. Can you say a bit more about how does it work in practice? And also, what is it? And also, Gurudev has suggested that Gadādhara Pandit is rather Radhika. What? I don't understand this part. Is rather Radhika or Radharani because Mahaprabhu has been controlled by him very often. The roles of controller and controlled were still inverted indeed. And then Kishore says, what do you mean, Prabhuji? Gurudev has always said that Gadādhara Pandit is Radharani in full, or did I misunderstand you? Okay, so this is a very interesting tattva, and I'm not like, I probably won't give the most authoritative answer. But yeah, Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja explains this. There's also a verse in Caitanya Charitamrita which says that Gadādhara Pandit's mood is like Radharani, is like Rukmini Devi, is very submissive. But that does not mean at all that Gadādhara Pandit is Rukmini Devi. Gadādhara Pandit is, like Kishore is saying there, like my Gurudev would say this again, he would emphasize this. There's on PureBhakti.com, you'll be able to, there's a whole class where my Gurudev goes very deep into it. I think Tunga Vidya Mataji is asking the question about, or somebody is asking about Gadādhara Pandit being in the mood of Rukmini Devi. But no, Gadādhara Pandit is fully Srimati Radhika, 100%. It's never explained anywhere that Gadādhara Pandit is Rukmini Devi. But in order to assist Mahaprabhu's tasting Radha Bhav, then Radharani, so she takes on the mood, like Gadādhara Pandit doesn't want, is the Gadādhara Pandit's purpose of his whole like his main thing of service, or I don't know the right words. I mean, but he's helping Mahaprabhu taste Radha Bhav. That's Mahaprabhu's reason for coming to this world, his primary internal reason. And so, if Gadādhara Pandit was to be in the mood of Srimati Radhika, then that would not help Mahaprabhu experience the mood, be able to taste Radha Bhav. That would make him feel like Krishna. He would all of a sudden start to come in, and that's completely against Mahaprabhu's lila. Like yeah. And I think that's what Gauranga Nagari, right? They see Mahaprabhu as Krishna, and Mahaprabhu and Gadādhara Pandit like Radha and Krishna, like in that way, and that they see Gauranga as a Nagar, and that's completely against our philosophy. That's completely bogus. And actually, Srivas, he's been going through the old Gaudiya articles published during Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's time, and there's article after article after article after article cutting down this Gauranga Nagarvad. And so so Gadādhara Pandit, to help assist Mahaprabhu in tasting these moods of Radharani, takes a very submissive mood, like Rukmini Devi. That's what I've understood. But again, this isn't like the most authoritative answer. It better to go look on PureBhakti.com and find that class by my Gurudev. And yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining, and I will see you all tomorrow to continue our Srimad Bhagavatam readings. And like I've been doing every day. So in 3 days from now is Akshaya Tritiya, and 1 week from now is Janu Saptami. In 9 days from now is appearance day of Janava Devi and Sita Devi, and the disappearance day of Madhu Pandit. And 11 days from now is Mohini Ekadashi. And in exactly 2 weeks from now is Nrsimha Chaturdashi. All right, everybody. Hari Bol.